If a dog gets bitten and does not have a vaccination, it must be euthanized. There's no alternative.
CDC warns public to prepare for zombie apocalypse. The only thing worse than getting swine flu is turning into a zombie. And just like most Americans, the folks at the Centers for Disease Control are vigilant about the walking dead wandering the streets, feasting on human brains and flesh. So vigilant, in fact, that they have released a synopsis of their plan in the event of an outbreak. From the blog post entitled Preparedness 101 Zombie Apocalypse. If zombies did start roaming the streets, CDC would conduct an investigation much like any other disease outbreak. It's likely that an investigation of this scenario would seek to accomplish several goals: determine the cause of the illness, the source of the infection/virus/toxin, learn how it is transmitted and how readily it is spread, how to break the cycle of transmission and thus prevent further cases, and how patients can best be treated. Who? Sounds like the CDC thinks zombism is akin to SARS. The post also recommends an emergency kit with water, food, medicine, tool, cleaning supplies, clothes, important documents and first aid materials. So a zombie outbreak is like getting SARS after an earthquake. Sounds miserable. Maybe a better plan would be to provide every non-Indian American with a sniper rifle and a map to the nearest shopping mall or abandoned rock quarry. Everybody knows that malls and quarries are safe during a zombie apocalypse, and zombies don't fare well against a skilled sniper.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Dr. Grant Ellis, holder of PhDs in psychology and parapsychology, with a master's in physiology.
My name is Dr. David Archer. I have a degree in biology with emphasis on neurology.
Let me start by saying this: it is extremely likely that a zombie apocalypse or an end-of-the-world scenario featuring zombies could take place.
Toxoplasma gondii is this really gnarly brain virus. Toxoplasma gondii can only breed inside the intestines of a cat. So it will then infect a rat, and it causes the rat to seek out cats and basically be a little tasty treat.
Let's begin with talking about toxoplasmosis. We use such a disease in our rats at our facilities and laboratory testing.
Basically, what they tested was the difference between rats without toxoplasmas and rats with it. What they found was that in putting it in a captive situation and dousing things with cat urine, they deducted the fact that, most rats would run from the cat urine, and with the ones that are infected, they look for it again and again and again. They seek out the cat.
A variant, a mutant of this virus can infect a human. Loss of rational thought and muscle control, reducing a human to their most prime and basic instincts. They become nothing but a ravaging, thrashing ignoramus, and it would be bad. It would be bad.
So this toxoplasma gets into their brain? The rat no longer?
The rat is no more. Once the toxoplasmus infects a host, it's lights out. Mad cow disease. It's not very pretty. Okay, for instance, this totally and completely gentle creature suddenly becomes infected with mad cow disease. What it does is it infects its cerebral cortex and it goes buck wild. Its aggression skyrockets. Perfect example, 28 days later. Here you have this normal society, everything's quiet, and with the flip of a switch, you have this virus, this infection that just engulfs everything in its path.
Well, it doesn't sound that bad to me either. It didn't sound that bad to me until I heard of Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. It's a variant of mad cow that would infest a human. There would be muscle spasming, twitching, biting of one's own flesh, and feasting upon human organs. The evolution of the mad cow and a string of the virus that would infect humans, it would just lead to the total downfall of civilization as we know it. It would spread rapidly. It would be airborne. It would also be found in our food. Just relatives shaking hands could cause transmission of this disease. In a few years, you'll notice the nanobot technology, where microscopic computers basically can infest a human. It can take over their thoughts and all muscle function. Basically, you would be able to be controlled by these parasitic devices. The technology has already been developed. It's already been tested. I personally was involved in several experiments through the use of nanotechnology, and the results were terrifying. Complete reprogramming of the brain. You've reprogrammed a computer before. You've asked a computer to do certain things. Think of the brain of the human brain as an ultimate supercomputer. The nanobots can reprogram this ultimate supercomputer and use it for whatever use it wants. We're talking about complete destruction of human race as we know it.
So what are any last words you want to say to people who would listen, who would actually listen?
I'd have to say, if you know of a really good handy shop with, let's say, knives, guns, I would have to say you get there as quick as you possibly can, you make connections, you make friends, you make sure they like you, and you just pray to God that you don't end up dead. Snack witch.
Pray. Just pray. Science won't save you.
There's no escaping from the virus. All you can do is fight. And at some point, you're going to lose. And that's the ultimate design.
37 minutes to go.
I heard we might get bumped for the news.
Not unless this really is the end of the world.
This live broadcast
Big Brother House, this is Davina.
is about to go
What's going on up?
dead.
Eyewitnesses describe dead or injured people apparently attacking one another.
Something is wrong! What?
The cameras ain't moving. Big Brother ain't watching us.
Trust me, outside, it's a bad idea.
How bad?
We are trapped in here.
Something's happening. Some sort of outbreak. For all we know, we're all there is.
They eat flesh.
Don't talk to me about surviving until you have. In the head. You gotta get him in the head.
Dead Set, an epic 5-part series that will blow your mind.
As long as we're still breathing, we're smarter than them. That's why we're gonna beat them.
Dead Set starts Monday, October 25th at midnight, only on IFC. Always on, slightly off.
The first rule of blogging is have a catchy title for each post. The Centers for Disease Control posted this one: Preparedness 101 Zombie Apocalypse. It instructs readers on what to do to get ready for an invasion of flesh-eating zombies. The CDC says they're actually the same preparations you might make for a hurricane or tornado. You stock up on food, water, medicine, duct tape, a battery-powered radio. Also, you know where you would go and who you would call if zombies start appearing on your doorstep.
So are they saying...
In effect, you are alluding to some sort of conspiracy. You talk about some sort of forces within the EU. Who would they be?
Well, first of all, I don't think that conspiracy is the right word. I think that what we have to understand is that the mainstream Western media nowadays give us a lot of information but never quite explain how things happen. So we just focus on little bits, little slices of information day by day. I think we have to understand that when things like these arise, there are powerful reasons behind what's happening. I can just give you one small example. The Daily Telegraph, the London Daily Telegraph, yesterday published that because of what is happening between Germany and Spain, we have to be on the alert, the UK has to be on the alert of terrorist food poisoning in the British food supply chain. So there are a lot of people who will use these sort of problems, which are true and which exist, but which are blown totally out of proportion. I know it's dreadful, but only 22 people have died. On account of this, and a couple of thousand, not even 2,000, are actually ill. We are blowing it out of proportion, and maybe that ties in very nicely to other people's agendas.
But that sort of so-called bioterrorism you're alluding to actually does highlight the fact, the vulnerability of the food chain, doesn't it? If you do contaminate one source of food, it could have an effect on a massive amount of people. So it is quite a pertinent point.
No doubt about it. Specific stories. Only 1 month ago, the entire planet was just watching a royal wedding. Then 2 days later, the alleged killing of Osama bin Laden. And now everybody seems to be going hysterical or very concerned about the E. coli outbreak. I think that what we are seeing is, in a way, the engineering of social control so that public opinion can be drawn one way, the other way, and back and forwards all the time, even observing what the results are. Because what we are seeing, that's my own personal opinion, I must say, is psychological warfare developing in front of our eyes on a daily basis. And very often we saw this with the avian flu scare of 2005. The swine flu scare of 2009, where all these things were on the verge of creating a terrible problem, and then they just completely disappeared from the media. So I often scratch my head when I see stories fully blown in the media, and they just completely disappeared. Is somebody making some sort of a survey, so to speak, taking the conclusions, taking the data, and then just leaving that story at that and going to the next quote-unquote crisis, whether it be of a terrorist or a pandemic or any other type of, or political or economic even?
People need to realize that their water, the air, the sand they're walking on, the things they're touching up in the morning are coated with this stuff. We're producing an experiment in the Gulf, the light that we are of this experiment, the humans. Dr. Cake, along with the commercial fishermen and Gulf Coast environmentalists, are drawing direct parallels to BP's oil disaster and the use of toxic dispersants as the likely cause. Parallels to the spill, Dr. Cake added. We have evidence from fishermen operating in they're called the Vessels of Opportunity fleet, and fishermen in the immediate area who observed spraying of dispersants by both aircraft and the immediate area. But far important is a gulp of once activated, mutated virus replicates, matures, and is then released. Notice in this scenario, all three growth factors for mutagens are present, and these are the exact same conditions that now exist in billions of gallons of seawater in the Gulf. The above clearly outlines what happens when certain chemical compounds, such as those found in Corexit, are introduced to bacteria or viral bacteriophages. The result is a mutated virus that quickly duplicates itself, develops into maturity, and then discharges itself in the environment.
Dr. Grimes is especially interested in a pathogen called Vibrios, the best known of which causes cholera. But a lesser-known Vibrios found in Gulf waters can gobble up oil.
We can definitely say that at least 6 of the Vibrios that came from the Deepwater Horizon site possess the dioxygenase gene that's necessary to decompose a group of compounds called polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, which are carcinogenic and they're toxigenic. And so these are the very bad chemicals in crude oil, and they're of great interest to us.
This is just so unbelievable. After all that Joplin have gone through with the dreadful tornadoes and the amount of people that were killed and all the homes that were lost, and now a deadly fungus strikes Joplin's tornado survivors and volunteers. This is from Yahoo News. The Greene County MO Health Department has issued a memo to healthcare workers who are treating injured victims of May's deadly Joplin tornado, warning them that a powerful fungus has infected patients' wounds. The Springfield News Leader reports as many as 9 cases have been reported in tornado victims across the area in various hospitals. Once the aggressive fungus, called zygomycosis, enters the body, it causes the death of infected cells. 3 or 4 patients who otherwise would have survived their wounds have died from it. If the fungus stays in a limb, like an arm or a leg, some treatments have necessitated amputation to save the patient. Others, with wounds near the head, weren't so lucky. As soon as the brain tissue started dying, it was too late to save the patient. The National Institution of Health says this rapid form of infection most often occurs in patients with suppressed immune systems. One